Today's Sunday, so it's my story, and I'm gonna think about what we can do. Oh, the Yellow Wizard. No, the story has begun quiet in the movie theater. Once upon a time, there was just a normal guy who lived in a cottage in the woods, and he was married and they had some kids. And every day he'd get up and he'd go and chop some wood, and he'd feed the chickens and pigs, and he'd tend to the garden and go hunting maybe. And he was just a man that liked his work and liked his family. And then all of a sudden, one day, along came a mysterious figure in a black cloak. And he stood outside of the house on their property. And the wife saw the man and said, "Oh dear, there's someone out there. He doesn't look too pleasant." And so the man looked out the window and he recognized the man in the cloak. He went out and talked to him. And the man said some words to him, but the wife couldn't hear what he was saying. And then the man came back in and said, "I've got to go for just a short while. Please don't do that. That's distracting. That's why I'm putting your hands down, okay? Okay." And the man said, "I have to go for a while, but I'll be back." And he took his rain jacket with him. And she said, "But it's not raining." And he said, "Yes, I know it's not raining. I'll try to explain everything later. I should be back in a couple of days." And so he left with the man in the black cloak. They walked for a while. And as they walked, and they were well away from the cottage, the raincoat, which was yellow, turned into a yellow robe, because it had been disguised magically to be a raincoat, but actually it was a yellow wizard robe. And the man that was wearing it was not just a family person, but a long time ago he had been the Yellow Wizard. And the man in the black cloak said, "The old orange dragon has reared its head once again. He's woken up from the volcano and when he's trying to make his way out of the volcano, the village below can hear him roaring." And the Yellow Wizard said, "I'll take care of it." And he pulled out his wizard staff, which came out of nowhere, out of one of the pockets in the Yellow Wizard robe. And it had an orb on it, and the orb would light up the whole area, because it was night by that time. And they walked on. But then the man in the black cloak said, "I can take you no further. This is where my journey ends." And he went off into the woods. And the Yellow Wizard kept on venturing until he came to the village that was below the volcano. And he looked up at the volcano and he could hear it rumbling. Because the orange dragon, was trying to escape from the volcano. The Yellow Wizard had imprisoned the orange dragon there a long, long time ago. They called him the Orange Dragon because he was made out of pure brass. Brass is an orange-colored metal, yellow or orange. And the Yellow Wizard ventured into the village. It was dark, and it had just stopped raining. There was muddy roads and things. And at the edge of the town was the local tavern, where everybody would meet and usually drink too much ale and then get into fights. And so the Yellow Wizard went into the tavern. And one bad thing about being a Yellow Wizard is that you can't really hide anywhere. The Yellow Wizard could not hide in the forest because everybody'd say, hey, look, there's the Yellow Wizard. He couldn't really blend into a crowd because then everybody would say, there he is. So the Yellow Wizard had a habit of making grand entrances. And he kicked open the door to the tavern and threw down an explosion bomb. And everybody stopped and looked. And then they all laughed. And the biggest one of them got up. And he was about 6 feet tall. At least a foot taller than the Yellow Wizard, who was kind of a little guy. And he said, I think you're in the wrong part of town. And the Yellow Wizard said, you might do. And the big guy said, huh? And the Yellow Wizard said, are you a big pig or are you an oof-oof? And the guy just got unglued and said, "Rah!" and came running after the Yellow Wizard. And the Yellow Wizard put up a force field. And the guy tripped on the force field, fell over, and smashed into some tables, unconscious. And the Yellow Wizard said, no, I don't think so. And then another guy got up and said, we don't take kindly to you busting in here and causing a ruckus. And he pulled out 2 swords, shing shing, and then he did a fancy kind of sword move with them. And the Yellow Wizard said, that's impressive. And the guy with 2 swords said, what do you mean, impressive? And the Yellow Wizard said, well, I like what you did with those swords. Are you any good? And the 2-sword guy said, you've never heard of Two-Blade Billy? And the Yellow Wizard said, no, I'm retired for quite some time. Two-Blade Billy. I like the sound of that. What can you do? And Two-Blade Billy said, I don't like your attitude, mister. Coming in here thinking that you're better than all the rest of us. And the Yellow Wizard said, oh, I'm sorry. I am better than all the rest of you put together, in fact. And Two-Blade Billy said, that's it. And he went, and he came in to try to hack the Yellow Wizard to pieces, but the Yellow Wizard went and turned into a frog. And the Two-Blade Billy tripped and fell over him and went and bashed his head on the floor. And then the Yellow Wizard turned back into a man. And he turned around and said, are you still awake? And Two-Blade Billy jumped up and said, now, you're going to taste some steel. And he went after the Yellow Wizard. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But the Yellow Wizard had a magic sword that was like going ping, bang, pong, pong, ping, blocking and parrying all the moves that the Two-Blade Billy made until they got right up against the wall. And the Yellow Wizard dropped his sword. And Two-Blade Billy smiled and said, now I get you. And ran the Yellow Wizard right through the guts with the sword. And stuck his swords right into the wall. And they wouldn't come out. And the Yellow Wizard disappeared. And everybody said, huh? And the Yellow Wizard said, actually, I was standing over here the whole time. And they all turned and looked. And he hadn't even moved from his place where he kicked the door down. He was just standing there. The Two-Blade Billy had been fighting an illusion the whole time. And the Yellow Wizard said, you might do. And just then, an arrow went right through the Yellow Wizard's cloak, the hood on his cloak, and stuck into the wall behind him. And the Yellow Wizard said, now you I can use. And he looked around and he didn't see anybody. And he said, aha, hiding in plain sight. And he looked and nothing. and another arrow went right through his robe and stuck his robe to the floor. And the yellow wizard said, "Crafty." And he looked at the arrow and looked up at where the trajectory came, and up in the rafters was a little mouse with a bow and arrow. And he said, "What's your name?" And the mouse said, "Mouse." And he said, "Good name. You can join me." And the mouse jumped down to the floor and said, "Whatever for?" And the wizard said, "We're going into the volcano to kill the orange dragon." And everybody laughed. Rah, 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 rah. The mouse said, "I've never killed a dragon before. What makes you think I'm so great?" And the wizard said, "Because I'm great, and I'm never wrong. Will you join me?" The mouse said, "Okay."
He's the wizard.
And the wizard said, "All right, I just need one more somebody. Does anybody know how to do anything around here?" And just then the barmaid went walking across the room. She had collected all the glasses and was just heading back to wash them. But the peculiar thing was she had stacked them up almost to the ceiling and didn't drop a one. And the wizard watched her and watched her. And then he got a curious look, and he took his staff and went, and he created a rock right in front of her foot. And she tripped, fell down, and caught all the glasses. Tink, 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 tink. And he said, "You there?" And nobody answered. And he said, "Ma'am?" And the lady said, "Me?" And he said, "Yes. Have you ever held a weapon?" "No." And the bartender said, "She's not going with you. That's my daughter." And the wizard said, "Well, she's going to be very wealthy if she helps me defeat the orange dragon." And the bartender said, "How wealthy?" And he said, "Well, you could buy the whole village." And everybody in the tavern said, "Oh, I'll go. Oh, I'll go. I'll go." And the wizard said, "Silence." And everybody went, and they couldn't even move their mouths. And he said, "I need someone with agility. Have you ever walked on a rope?" And she said, "No." And he said, "Have you ever cracked a whip?" "No." "Have you ever baled some hay?" She said, "Well, yeah, everybody's done that." And he said, "Splendid, give this woman a pitchfork. She's coming with us." And somebody handed her a pitchfork and shoved her out the door, together with the mouse and the yellow wizard. And off they went as the sun was rising toward the volcano. But we'll find out what happens next time on The Fight of the Orange Dragon.